Beth Ann, thanks for your time. What's the initial reaction out there to Craig Kessler being hired as commissioner?
Well, I think players appreciate his passion for the game and for the tour. You know, I think he obviously has a very dynamic personality, and that comes across well for players. They want someone who's a good communicator, who can give them a clear vision of where, you know, he sees the tour, you know, not only in a year, but, you know, 5-10 years from now. I think, you know, they appreciate the fact that he comes from a golf background. They're really just getting to know his resume, but they know that, you know, he can pick up the phone and get things rolling in quick order. And I think that I know I certainly appreciated him saying that there wasn't time for a 100-day listening tour, and I think players feel the same.
You know, Beth Ann, you talked about building trust and building a fan base. What do you think the #1 job is for Craig in your mind?
That's a great question. I definitely think that, you know, transparency is so important for players, for fans, for everyone to know, you know, where he's trying to take the tour. But I think visibility is so important. He has to have buy-in from everyone here. And so he has to have players willing to say yes to what he wants to do. And I think he has to figure out a way to get more eyeballs on the LPGA. And I'm interested to hear his plan for that.
We just heard Craig tell Matt Adams about his pillars for the tour, and one of which was the financial footing of the organisation. It's no secret, Beth Ann, that the LPGA Tour doesn't have a lot of resources, is very close to running on fumes in golf terms. How successful can he be in that situation? Does Craig Kessler need to coax or nudge or bully the other organisations in golf, chiefly the PGA Tour, into sharing some kind of resources?
Well, I think it wouldn't hurt. I definitely think the PGA Tour could do more in that way and should do more in that way. And I think the fact that he already has existing relationships with so many people who are movers and shakers in the golf industry should hopefully go a long way into making things happen, because it seems like these are obvious bridges that Mike Whan started. Obviously, we're seeing the fruits of that in the major championships, but it's felt for several years now like, you know, well, what else can be done? Surely there's more here.
He has suggested that he's open to a conversation with the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, which is a bit of a delicate balance to align a women's sports league with an authoritarian government with a pretty poor record on women's rights. If there is that kind of conversation, do you think he would meet any kind of internal opposition to that from the players, or are the players very much like a lot of PGA Tour players have been and just say, where's the money?
The latter definitely is for the most part what I've been hearing for years out here. You know, I think the vast majority of players are most interested in the bottom line. And I've honestly only had a couple of players I could count on one hand raise too much of an issue with quite frankly, where the money comes from. So, you know, I think that when Craig Kessler says he's going to talk to everyone, I take him at his word, and I think his players want him to do that.
Well, Beth Ann, I want to turn our attention to this week. This is the 5th time a USGA event has been held at Erin Hills. We've covered a lot of great championships together through the years. What's the buzz like in Erin, Wisconsin? Is the town going crazy? Is it a little bit of a warm-up into this event? Just give us a sense of what it's like, the vibe on the ground.
Well, it's a holiday here. Obviously, it's quiet. You know, I think that for players, it feels like, you know, a huge property. Your first impression here is wow, this is going to be a lot of work to get around here. The walk in and of itself is a tough task. You know, I think it's going to look a lot different to Lancaster last year, which was obviously packed with fans and on a more compact piece of property where, you know, it looked great on television. You know, it's so big out here that the fans that are going to be here are going to be scattered out so far and wide that I think it's going to be hard to get that same vibe. And I just think that's just part of what comes with this property and where we are. So I think you're going to see a vast difference to last year, but players are excited for the challenge.
It's typical that we normally ask you about all of the top contenders, the #1 player in the world like Nelly Korda, but you had a great story on Golf Week this morning, Beth Ann, about one of the more unheralded players in the field, Leta Lindley. Tell us about her.
Yeah, so one of the cool things about Lita, she actually will turn 53 on Sunday. So she is the reigning U.S. Senior Women's Open champion, and her goal is to become the first Senior Women's Open champion to make the cut and to have a tee time on her birthday, which I think is wonderful. And if anyone had a chance to watch her win at Fox Chapel, the thing that sticks out the most is her son Cole's reaction. She has 2 kids now in college, and Cole has become absolutely obsessed with golf, and just his raw emotion at seeing mom do this. You know, Lita incredibly won her first title on the LPGA as a mother of 2, which is an extraordinary feat in and of itself. She was playing her best golf, traveling around with 2 kids in elementary school. So I give a lot of credit to Lita and her husband, Matt Plagman, who was on the bag for her entire LPGA career and will once again be on the bag this week. And I think she truly is inspiring for a lot of people who, you know, maybe see their dreams come true late in life.
Yeah, that's a great story. And Fox Chapel is a wonderful golf course not too far from Oakmont, of course, the host of the U.S. Men's Open. I want to talk about the golf course specifically, the test that Lita and others will face. 6,829 yards. A lot of talk about how long this golf course is going to play. 16 under one when Brooks won back in 2017. Your thought on what a winning score could potentially be this week?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that low. There's already wind here, which, you know, that was the thing about 2017, right? The wind didn't show up. So it looks like on the forecast, while we will see rain, I think, a little bit midweek, we will see the wind, which is paramount here for this golf course to really show its teeth. So, you know, I definitely expect it to play long, which will be a challenge for a lot of players. You know, ball striking, it's certainly a second shot golf course, but you're also going to have to be able to navigate, you know, the surrounds and the green. It's the green complexes, you know, present some really unique challenges. So you have to have an all-around game here.
Yani Tseng back in the field in the U.S. Women's Open for the first time in 9 years, Beth Ann. You know, she'd won 5 majors by the age of 23, but it's been an awfully barren 12, 13 years since then. She just started working with Brady Riggs on her golf swing, made her way through the 36-hole qualifier into this field. Do you have any expectation that she can play her way back to some kind of relevance?
You know, I laughed a little bit when you mentioned Yani's name because, number one, it's just such a delight to have her back. She's just so much fun to be around, and it's just mesmerizing to watch her putt left-handed now. Yani is very blunt about the fact that she struggled with the yips in recent years, and the fact that, you know, this was basically a mental shift. I've got to do something different here. And so, you know, Brady suggested she start putting left-handed, and pretty much immediately when she put it in a competition in Taiwan, she saw a difference and really hasn't looked back. So, you know, she actually, from a ball striking standpoint, still has it. The question, of course, is, you know, as the stakes get higher, you know, what will it look like on the greens? But, you know, for Yani, her enthusiasm for the game, you know, she said to me, a lot of my good friends have retired. You know, she doesn't really know a lot of the players out here, and they're just getting to know her, which is kind of remarkable. But yeah, I mean, we look at Lydia Ko's resurgence, right? And we marvel at that. But what would it mean if Yani were to come back after, you know, this incredible drought where she's, you know, hasn't even played on the LPGA, been off doing these long meditations where she doesn't speak for days, you know, trying to get back to old Yani. I think it would be extraordinary.
Well, that would be an incredible story. Well, she had no doubt has heard about the world #1, Nelly Korda. A year ago, if I recall, she'd won 6 times ahead of the U.S. Women's Open, now looking for her first win of 2025. How is she handling it? We saw Scotty get a little bit frustrated before he knocked off a couple of wins, including the PGA. How is Nelly handling being winless so far this year?
Gracefully, I would say. You know, she knows that she's close. I'm sure she's internally, you know, certainly frustrated, but you know, I think the way that she bounced back at the Chevron after such a terrible start on Thursday was was huge for Nelly. You know, she's coming into this major championship in control of her schedule. This is the only major on the LPGA calendar that does not have a Pro-Am round. So, you know, she got to play her full 18 holes today. And I think that was really what got her off on the wrong foot at Chevron was, you know, not teeing it up on Monday and then having rain force, you know, cancellation of some of the day on Wednesday and just really didn't feel settled going into the first round. So, you know, has had a couple of weeks off now, plenty of time to work on her game and to kind of reset coming into this week.
So many great storylines this week, and we look forward to hearing from you on live from the US Women's Open tomorrow. But Beth Ann, thanks for spending some of your holiday with us.
Thank you.